Okay, so we have the round 6 of the Manufacturers Cup, still running in the Dodge. It's actually a very good car for this race because it's a heavy fuel saver and you do need to maintain your tires a little bit. Racing softs are the only tires required. There is no car that is going to make this in a no stop, so it's a one stop. And you won't be able to see it, but I'll let y'all clue you in as to what I'm doing here whenever we get into the fuel mapping. We'll start off obviously in 6 and bring it down just as the timer kicks down to 1 to as the timer kicks down to 1 second down to 1 on the fuel. Stay in this slipstream and try to keep huddled up. And you'll see behind me there's a guy, he's pushing me a little bit. I almost hit the wall. Come up here, and the guy behind me, Justin P3, spends the whole race just driving dirty. And this guy up here on the right hand side, I call that the diarrhea mobile because it's pink like Pepto. He's another one. You see both Justin P3 and this guy here in the Pepto mobile just took a dive off to the left there. This guy sort of made out. Justin P3 ended up in the wall. Again, so now we're back into staying in the slipstream here. You're still at fuel map 1 all the way down through here. I didn't mean to touch that wall, but I did. I think it was that Toyota behind me that hit me and knocked me into it. Because you see, it hit me on the corner, so it knocked me forward and to the left. But I wasn't going to be too pissed off about that. That sort of stuff happens. He thought he was faster through the corner. It's an 86. He probably was. He'll make a mistake and fall off here in a minute. Okay, we're still on fuel map 1. All the way up the hill here. And what I would do is, when I got to the 100 board here, I would flip into fuel map 3, run through this entire snake section here in fuel map 3. Because you're not accelerating, you're just trying to maintain speed. And then bring it down to fuel map 1 here to accelerate down the straight. And just walk up and on this 86, and the Viper he's got no chance against the Viper's power. Alright, and sort of hanging out there. I noticed that he's staying tight, so I let him. He bounces off me. I don't think he meant to hit me, but gave me a nice little boost there, and I was able to use that to step out away from him a little bit to give us some racing room. And then coming into this next section here, right here, I would shift into fuel map 3. Bring it through this entire section here, this dock section in fuel map 3. And I would wait to come out of fuel map 3. Of course, you're not going to be able to see it this time. I think I'm still on fuel map 3, but you're not going to see exactly what I do. He didn't give me a choice there. He tried to run me into the penalty zone, pinching me to the inside, so he should have backed out. But as you come down into the final straight there, before the right-hand bend, you're going to come down under fuel map 1, and then just stay in fuel map 1 all the way down through this section. And what I would do is coming down here is, if I was behind somebody and I was in a good slip zone, less than 4.5 tenths up behind them, I'd shift it up. And I think even here, because no, I left it on this first lap here. I left it because of the big mistake at the top of the hill, and I didn't mean to tap him, so I let him back on by, and even try to give him a little bit of boost to push him back up there. Again, going back into fuel map 3 in this S section. Come out of fuel map 1 here, as you come around the corner. And what I started doing, because it's a pain in the butt, because I got my mapping keys set to left 2, right 2, which are on the steering wheel. Well, you're making a left, so that puts your hands at an odd angle, and you're trying to manipulate your thumb down with it at the bottom of the steering wheel. So what I did is, before I went into turn, I'd go ahead and shift into fuel map 1. Um, fuel map 3. Fuel map 3, when I'm able to get through there clean, as you come out of that section there into this section here, if you're in fuel map 1 and you're max accelerating, it'll push you over the wall. So fuel map 3, after you've got straight again, go back to fuel map 1, then you'll avoid making that contact on the right hand wall. And here I've got a good position here. I'm getting maximum suck on just fuel map 6. All the way down here until I get to the braking zone, and then I'll let it lift up. And here comes Justin P3 again. And you're going to see him here in a minute. He's going to pit about lap 5. And I was like, yeah, you screwed up. You don't even know how this race works. And there was another guy that pitted with him. I think his car actually, he shouldn't have been here. The car didn't have the fuel economy to be in this race. But the vet, and I'll just flip up to him real quick here. Watch how he revs this vet out. He doesn't know how to drive this vet. See, I mean, he's supposed to be fuel saving. The vet, you shift right there. Both the Group 3 and the Group 4, you shift at 50%. So he should be shifting just as that red marker starts coming up on the rev meter down at the bottom. And yet, he's doing crap like that, ramming people in the wall. He took turn 1 and just, well, I guess it'd actually be turn 2, because this turn here on the first lap, and obliterated it. Took him and somebody else out with him. Now with the Viper, I'm shifting about 60-something%, but the Group 4 Viper is the gearing's all screwed up on it. The manufacturer rated power curve says you should be shifting shortly after 6,800 RPMs. Well, 6,800 RPMs is red line, just about. The TAC is set for 7,000. So about the time it hits red line is when you should be shifting. No. It's like they put a turbo on the V10 naturally aspirated car, so that when you get up into the red zone, it actually gets better acceleration. And that's not the way the car actually works. So they need to do something to fix this car. The mechanics of it are all off. The Group 3 car is good, but they need to adjust the tachometer on it, because it's set to the same specs as the Group 4 car, and you actually shift that car around 6,000 RPMs, which is about 2/3. There are a couple of other cars in the game that are like that as well, like the McLaren 650S, the Group 4 version. See, here goes the Pepto-Mobile just diving down the inside. He was fully in view of my rear mirror, which means he's at least 2.5, 3.5 seconds behind me. And he just right down the side, using me as a brake so that he doesn't overshoot the corner. He should have got a penalty because he was actually over the line there, but the game didn't see it that way because he was making contact with me. And luckily, I didn't get a penalty. More often than not, when somebody does something like that, the game sees it as I forced him off the track, rather than he went off the track to try to go try to go around me. Then halfway down the hill there, I'm into fuel map 6 because there's not going anywhere. I'm just going to let sit back behind these guys and save fuel. We're halfway through lap 4, about to go into lap 5, and I've got about 2.5, 3 laps of fuel left. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if the Group 4 Viper had a 7th gear, but it never had a 7th gear in real life, so that's fine by me. This guy behind me now, the judge, he ends up behind me at the end of the race, but it's amazing that he does, because he has to deal with these two idiots that I've been dealing with too, this Justin P3 and Reese Durf, whatever his name is. Fuel map 1 here. Get back into his suck. Come out of this corner of fuel map 1. And at this point, see, I'm close enough. I'm already gone into fuel map 2. I'm shifting up to fuel map 3, fuel map 4, 5, 6. Just ride it out, and we're actually gaining on him, probably because he's dropped fuel map as well. It's another Viper right there in front of me. He's not close enough to actually drop the fuel map, but there's no real way to get around him safely here. Fuel map 1. And I got shoved from behind there. But I was able to recover and get back in front of him. I don't know if he backed out or it's just that's the way it worked. That's the good thing about these Vipers, is they're pretty solid. The Group 4s have issues because when you're revving the car high, the differential has a lockup whenever you shift gears. So if you're going around a corner and you have it in the high rev zone and you shift a gear up to come out of the corner, sometimes it will try to get squirrely on you and the back end will kick out. And I think I'm taking that corner too early, but that's, you do what you have to. Where I'm in the slipstream, so the front of the car doesn't grab as well. Back out before we get there and drop it into 3, fuel map 3. I think it was 1 or 2 times towards the end of the race when I realized that I actually had overdone it a little bit and dropped into fuel map 4 or 5 going through the dock section, but it was pretty consistent 3 all the way, almost all the way through the race, in fuel map 3 in the dock section, fuel map 3 in the S section. And see here now, I've got enough on him to be able to get up beside him. So now the roadway is both of ours. I'm on the inside here. I have the right of way. He had to back out, and he did the smart thing. He backed out and jumped in my. And I tried to make sure he stayed in the draft because he did the smart thing. But the Cayman was just much better going through this S section there than the Viper, so they was able to go ahead and pull around him. And this guy, he tried to dive me a couple of times on the hairpin there, so I'd always cut it a little bit, come in tight on it so that he couldn't dive me. And for here, it's pretty consistent for every car. When you hit the 50 board, you just let off the fuel, let it come into the corner, and then give it some acceleration to even it out and flatten the car out. And just you're gonna throttle management throughout those S turns. The final portion of the S turn there, you're going to have to actually let off the accelerator again, so that because it's a tighter corner, and then that brings you around to the other one, which again you have to let off pretty. Actually, I think with the Viper, I think I shift down to the gear below to bring the car around the front end around, because it won't do it in 5th gear. The Mazda's there, so I went ahead and braked late and let it ride. I didn't brake down as hard. I let it trail brake a little bit more to get around the outside of them. And it was a little bit sloppy, but I think it was a clean move. I think we made contact once or twice, but I tried my best to stay off of him. He tried his best to stay off of me, so no hard feelings. And here, I went ahead and popped it into fuel map 3. As you can see, I'm hanging around 52, 53, 54 miles an hour. The car will pick up speed going down a hill in that fuel map. But these guys here, this is bullcrap right here, what these two did. You don't dive into the pits like that. And I think one of them ends up with a penalty coming out. The ATX 610 UD13 number 2 there was one of the guys that dove in. He had less fuel. He probably changed tires, which is why he came out way behind me. I only had to fuel to 90% to be able to continue the fuel saving that I did to the end. But I went in and fueled 100% so that I would have a little bit extra in case I needed to. It came out, it was there goes Justin P13 or whatever, yeah, P3. And him and this Root Boy are going to pick up penalties all along this section here. We both tapped, but I was less, and I got a bump, and I just drug Root Boy on around behind me. And then something strange. Oh, that must have been the start line. There's a glitch on the start line. Every once in a while, the positions jumble up on the start line if everybody's real close together. Because it looked like he had dropped off there for a second. But look behind us. He got a half a second penalty for doing something added on. And Justin P3's back there. He got another added second to what he, or a second and a half to what he had. So he probably hit the wall. Vortex, Rude Boy cut the corner, Justin cut the corner, both of them got another half second added on. And they pushed me out of the way to do this, to get up here to go to the penalty line. And gain penalties doing it. That's just stupid driving. So anyway, I'm 5th, and because they pushed me over, pushed me out to get through, I've lost the slipstream to the guy in front of me. So now I have to burn fuel to catch up to him. I'm still going back into fuel map 3 at the end of at the bottom of the straight there, to once I hit about 52, 53 miles an hour, to conserve as much as I can. And luckily, I'm better out of that hairpin than the guy in front of me, because as you see, I made up quite a bit of time on him. I'm just about starting to get into the slipstream there. He's about 2/10, 3/10 outside, which is good for me, because right here, this is actually better for me to not be in a slipstream in this section, because it lets the front end of the car sit down from the air dams. I just let this guy go on by. I don't want any part of that crap. He's, you know, he's already proven that he wants to take penalties to get by people, so I just let him. There's that guy that was pushing through earlier, the 86. He's got a 1-second penalty, and he's that's about the last time I see him, I think. Fuel map 1, and off he falls down into the pack. But you know, the danger is here now is I got Justin P3 behind me getting in the vet, and he's overdriving the hell out of it. So he's, you know, he has no concern for his fuel. I'm not certain. He may have actually pitted a second time. I didn't check. I do know that he dropped way up at the end of the race, so he ran out of fuel. Him and the Pepto-Bismol mobile back there, duking it out, coming up onto the ramp. No, I'll say this, I overqualified. I qualified to the 2:04.3 or something like that. Ended up in 7th. My best time trial was a 2:04.5. I had a really good slipstream. I had somebody in front of me that was really fast, so I was able to carry a good lap. But I knew that I would be able to hold my position, because I was already aware of the fact that this was a fuel-saving track, and I usually do really well at that. Several years of driving over-the-road truck driver, making a truck that's supposed to only get 6.5 miles per gallon to 9, 10 miles per gallon gives you a good feel for what you should be doing with your accelerator. Somebody just went and pitted at lap 10. So that was either somebody that had a really fuel pushing car that pushed it too far, or somebody that went in, one of the two guys that went in early. And I don't see Justin P3 back there, so that may have been him. One of the guys that went in early and ended up having to pit again because he was out of fuel. Several people back there with penalties again. Pectomobile's catching up. I've lost a little slipstream here, so I'm kind of worried. The guy is fast, but he's just dirty. If he'd learned to drive clean, he would have less problems, because he had pissed a bunch of people off when they caught up to him, or whenever he made a mistake and they got into him. They just put him off the track. And I was real happy to see this. All three of these guys bunching up. It gave me a chance to catch up, and I knew this section here, one of them was about to take a dive back to the back. You see, they're all bundled up, and they weren't able to get through that corner pass, so I was able to use my acceleration and get a clean run and just blow right past that guy. That's why you gotta pick your battles. There are places on these tracks that you can go, and places on these tracks that you want to stay in line. Otherwise, somebody behind you is gonna eat you up. Those two went wide. I don't know if they realized I was there or what, but I just came out in front of them. I guess they were too busy duking it out with each other to realize that I was on the inside just about to chew their lunch. It's a really awkward second set of corners there. And that was probably the best I went through them the whole race, but and I messed up there. For some reason, I hit the shifter, and I guess it's because I was fiddling with the adjustments and ended up going down instead of up, and gave him back to position. But luckily, we're free and clear of all this back here. And I overshoot. He goes on back by. Give him space. Let him have it. Tuck back in behind him. Fuel map 1. Get back up, caught up to him so we can get away from this group here. He's trying to be cute, but that's not a problem. I can drive that close. This is the angle I drive at whenever I drive, so it's not a problem. I'm fuel map 6 here. The car's still accelerating because it's doing so well. And we just sort of left all those in. Several of them got penalties, so. Chuck O'Brien of the M4 apparently wasn't going to have enough fuel. So he started off, he was a pole positioner. Penalties behind. The guy up there in the leads is a Viper as well, just to show that how strong this car is here at this track. And at the conclusion of this race, I checked and it put me over 40k on my DR. So not gonna lie, Dodge has been real good to me. Been driving them for 2 seasons now, and been doing nothing but going up. He's got to be in a low fuel map to for me to be catching them, because I know I was like in fuel map 5 and ended up bumping him anyway. Oh, I was a little bit further forward than I thought, or he was a little bit further back than he thought, or he was a little bit more forward than he thought, because he came over on my nose, but I let him go on by and bump him. Get away from this mess back here behind us. We got third and fourth as long as we just keep it together. Yeah, I tell you, there's probably quite a few of those guys that started ahead of me, that the reason they're behind me is because when they went in the pits, they chose to change tires. Do not change tires. Your racing softs will carry you all the way through the track, and as long as you are gentle with them, you won't have a need to change them, and it saves you a second and a half, 2 seconds in the pits. Of course, I probably get past him and then I make an error, but looking down at the fuel, I realize it's probably better that he's in front of me, so I'll go ahead and just, this is where I'm going to be at. I'm not going to fight it. As you'll see when we get to the end of the race here, I actually ran out. But it was negligible. I was in fuel map 3 coming up the hill. I went into fuel map 6 going through the S's and just stayed in 6 all the way through to the end, because I realized I wasn't going to have enough fuel to make it. You see, I'm at 0% now, basically. So I'm coasting as much as I can, trying to keep from accelerating. Make it around this corner, get a little bit of acceleration, and out of fuel for the last 200 yards. That's the way it went. Fourth place, 174 points, I think is what it worked out to be. It's one of my best points for this season so far, which it raises me by 30 points total, and gives me another good point add to my total for when they shift up to the 3 points, three races. Should propel me up a little bit closer. I believe right now I'm second in my region, or first in my region, and I'm climbing into the top 10 on the manufacturers, if I recall correctly. I'll have to check and make sure. We're actually done here, so we'll go ahead and stop this and go take a look at that. Okay. Yeah, so 171. My next one down was 159, so that gave me 21 points. No, 12 points. And I was at, so that puts me at 334. And that puts me first in my local area. And then, of course, my second area is really small. For some reason it's blocking this. Okay. I understand why it's blocking it, because it shows my county. For the manufacturer, currently I'm in 18th at 322. You add the 21 points, or 12 points, which would be at 334. If nothing changes, that'll put me at 15th, maybe 16th. I know this guy was the first place in our race, so he's going to go up. And I'm climbing up on 10th. Right now I'm in 18th. That's what it looks like right now. Next week we get 24-hour Nürburgring. I'll be skipping that. I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that. And I'll be doing that. The Viper's really strong here at Group 3. Group 4 here, I'm not certain. The Viper's really strong here at Group 3 and Group 4. So this is the home track for the Viper, by the way. Back in the day, that's who just ran over this course when they entered the market. I'm going to go ahead and get an exit now. I had a good race, and I'm not going to try to jeopardize my points, so you have a good day.